Welcome back to Carneades.org. Today we're going to be continuing with our series, Dumbfounding Definitions, Dizzying Distinctions, and Diabolical Doctrines, a series sorting through some of the jargon of philosophy. In this video, we're going to be answering the question, what is the bundle theory of self? Not to be confused with the bundle theory more generally. But before we get to that, I just want to say this video was made possible by a generous donation by João Costa Neto. If you want to request a Dumbfounding Definitions, Dizzying Distinctions, and Diabolical Doctrines video on any topic in philosophy, pledge $10 a month on Patreon. Get in touch and we'll see what we can do. If you want your face created like Joao's here, you can pledge a generous $50 a month and you will get all of the benefits of the lower levels below that. Check out the Patreon page for more on that, including a video like this on the topic of your choice, but you and your face will also be featured in that video designed just like this. All of this money, for now, goes to providing Carneades with more reliable internet access here in West Africa. But I digress. So, on to the bundle theory of self. So, the persistence problem is a problem for personal identity. The question it raises is, what makes someone the same person over time? What makes the you that was born the same you that is watching this video and the same you that will die at some point in the future? You don't look the same, you're made up of a lot of different parts, you act very differently. What makes you the same over time? Some claim that it's something somatic, something about our biology, which makes us the same over time. Though this is going to run into problems with teleporters, ideas of moving all of your parts or reconstructing you with different parts, or even just the fact that you shed a lot of your molecules over time, as well as transplants and transplanting different organs of yours into different people. Others claim it is something psychological, something tied to memory or another mental state, which makes us the same person over time. Though things like bad and false memories are going to wreak havoc on such theories. I'm not going to go into those arguments and objections to them right now because we've already done a series on that. In a previous series on the persistence problem and personal identity, we covered all of those theories and their problems. Check that out if you're curious. However, one theory we have not yet covered on personal identity is the bundle theory of self. This is the theory which, in the face of the criticisms of these two theories, takes a third route, and it claims that we are simply a bundle of experiences, that there is no underlying person beneath it all, or at least there is no underlying consistent thing that we can pick out and pull out of those properties and say, this is the person. Now, this position varies depending on who you're talking to. It can be traced all the way back to Buddhist teachings, but it also has roots in the bundle theory we were talking about before, bundle theory of substance proposed by David Hume, and more recently it's been expounded in the writings of Derek Parfit. And depending on the version, you will get a different exact explanation of what this looks like. Is there actually a person there? Are we just experiences that are happening, or is that person just a bundle of experiences? So basically, the bundle theory of substance claimed that instead of having an object made up of a substance and properties that adhere to that substance, objects are just in fact bundles of properties with no underlying substance at all. The bundle theory of self uses a similar move, but with the notion of personal identity instead of substance. Basically, when asked, what is the thing that makes you the same over time, the bundle theorist says that there is no one characteristic that we can pull out which does. There's no one thing like memory or being the same animal over time, which makes you you over time. You may have certain physical properties like parts of your body, or mental properties like memories, which stay in that bundle of things that you are for different periods of time. And there is not going to be one thing, or may not be one thing that follows you throughout your entire life. Those things may change and shift. But that bundle is all we're going to get for personal identity. You're not going to be able to pull out some deeper property that this is identity. This is the thing that you are. You cannot be explained simply in terms of any one of those mental or physical properties. Derek Parfit's theory in particular claims that personhood does exist, but it is not some separate thing which exists, but rather it is something which is made up of mental and physical states and all of that goes into that bundle. In the same way that both a building and the concrete and steel which comprise that building exist, but if you tore the building down, those parts, that concrete and steel, would still exist, but the building would not. Think of the self in that way. All of the parts, the physical parts, the mental states could exist without the self. But that doesn't mean that those parts without having something or being arranged in a particular way or put together in the right kind of bundle would be the self. And no one of those parts, no one thing that makes up that self is identical to that self. There is no one place you can point to on the building and say, this is the building. It is the bundle of everything else that makes it that object. Similarly, your personhood is made up of physical and mental parts, but none of them are identical to your personhood. Rather, you are simply a bundle of these properties. If you're curious for more on this, I highly encourage you to read Derek Parfit's work. We also have another video on Derek Parfit if you're curious on some of his arguments about population ethics. Check that out if you're interested. But for now, what do you think? What makes you the same over time? Is it your memories? Is it your body? Is it something else? Or are you just a bundle of properties which might all change over the course of your life? Thanks again to João Costa Neto for supporting Carneades.org and helping make this video possible. Watch this video and more here at Carneades.org and stay skeptical, everybody.